And on the right, Congressman Jeff Denham is back with us along with Bo Dietl of Bo Dietl Associates. I'm going to go to you, Alan, because you listened to two Republican Congress people. Here's what it sounds like to me. Well, yeah, you're bringing the fair and balance to the show. Here's what it sounds like to me. Mr. Obama, all he wants to do is make sure he doesn't default. So in other words, raise that debt ceiling, raise the debt ceiling, just make sure you don't default. But Alan, at this pace, I pointed out in the bullets earlier, at this pace, if Obama were to be reelected over an 8-year term, we would be 26 trillion in the hole.
That's not a fair evaluation because we're talking about a one-term stimulus, a one-shot stimulus.
How do we know?
40% of it, because there's no second stimulus package on the horizon, 40% of that stimulus package were tax cuts. $788 billion, and 40% of that were tax cuts. Why do you keep ignoring that? The tax cuts you people on the right wanted was a 40% of the stimulus package. You can't just say that's all, and you guys don't want to bring in any more money. You don't want to do revenue enhancement. The Republicans walked out of meetings where they were actually talking about closing tax loopholes for oil companies. You had Eric Cantor stormed out of that meeting. You guys don't even want to have a serious conversation.
You don't like that when people storm out of meetings?
You don't want to have,
I remember a bunch of Democrats storming out of some meetings in Wisconsin.
You don't want to have a serious
that was okay.
You don't want to have a serious You don't want to have a serious. Oh, the other side does it too. Is all you got. You don't want to have a serious conversation about.
Let's have a serious conversation about the debt, the national debt.
You can't have a serious conversation without revenue enhancement. And we're not talking about.
Stop calling it revenue enhancement, Alan. Call it raising taxes.
I'll make you a deal. I'll make a deal. I'll stop doing that. You stop talking about raising taxes. These are not tax raises. These are sunsetting the Bush tax cuts, as was originally planned when they did the Bush tax cuts to begin with. They were supposed to be sunsetted.
Fine.
It's not a tax raise.
Fine.
I'll make you that deal.
Jump in here.
All I know is I sit here every time listening to Alan. Alan,
you're very fortunate.
You have different views of what's going on in Washington.
Yes.
I mean,
me against everybody else on the show.
Basically, what we have to do is not raise taxes. We have to cut away all that fat in the spending. And that's what's the most important thing that we can do in Washington. And realize we can look just like Greece can look, as looks like they look now, if we continue focusing the way you want to go and the way your people in Washington
hang in there. Congressman, the number, if we spent the way we spent over the last 2.5 years, we would end up with $27 trillion in the hole. Our economy is about $13 trillion, so more than 200% of our economy. Greece is defaulting and rioting and all the bad things going on in Greece at 125 or 130% of their economy. So they just exceeded 1 year's production, and it went crazy. We're talking double.
Yeah, it's scary. I mean, to say they're not tax increases is ridiculous. We got to do the things that create jobs here. And whether you call it a tax increase or a tax enhancement or whatever name you give it to, you can't pick winners and losers. I mean, the president likes to point out, well, what about those corporate jets? And talk to the people in Wichita, Kansas. When that plant shuts down and they no longer have those jobs there, that's a big deal. If we want to talk taxes,
you can ask me
let's look at the entire tax policy.
Well,
I'd like to ask you a question, Congressman, because we were told that when we reduce the taxes and the Bush tax cuts, that's going to create jobs. Where are they? Why didn't the Bush tax cuts create those jobs?
Oh, I was told that the stimulus package was going to spend.
No, we were told. No, you're not answering my question. Why didn't the Bush tax cuts create the jobs? Where are they?
Listen, let's bring the questions through me. Congressman, does raising taxes create jobs or kill jobs?
Kill jobs, absolutely.
Okay.
For anybody.
Does lowering them create jobs? And where are they?
Talk about your stimulus.
No answer to my question.
The stimulus package that was put together, first of all, the jobs that were put in there were not jobs that are going to be there for the next few years.
When did the Bush tax cuts? Where are the jobs in the Bush tax cuts?
What the jobs should have went into, what the infrastructure in this country, where those jobs stay, where people go to work. When people go to work, they spend money. When they spend money, there's more tax revenue.
I'm waiting for an answer.
Ask me the question, Alan. What do you want to know?
We were told the Bush tax cuts were going to create jobs. Why didn't they?
They did create jobs.
We're still where?
If we didn't have them, there would be 4 million more people out of work. I'm going to use the same logic that the liberals use about the stimulus.
We didn't have the stimulus. We didn't have the saving of the car industry. We'd have 2 more million people out of work.
Car industry wasn't going anywhere.
Yes, it was. We saved 1 million jobs.
How do we save them?
GM, all the related industries.
Congressman, is there any question on the Hill if GM were to go to fail, default, to go into bankruptcy, a real bankruptcy, a liquidation bankruptcy, and Chrysler as well, is there any question that those people would still be working if it were maybe a Ford plant or maybe a BMW plant?
No, I don't think there's a question at all. The question is, where's all the stimulus money that's been spent? And the money that's come back, where is it gone? Is it reducing our debt? But in my state of California, $3.6 billion that's going to the high-speed rail for shovel-ready projects. That project's not getting done anytime soon. To actually use stimulus dollars to pay welfare checks, tax in California?
Well,
that's just wrong. That's not creating jobs.
Congressman, you're exactly, and this is the one point, Alan, you can't waver on it. The fact is, when you give the jobs, you have to give jobs that are going to last, not these fugazi jobs that last for 6 months and then they're on
unemployment. The Republican policies of the last 8 years prior to Obama didn't create the jobs.
All right, we're going to leave it there. Coming up, someone's going to answer Alan's question, maybe on his radio show, maybe on our show. Tom Tancredo and the new developments in the ATF